Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into a really fascinating figure, Alton Brown. And what's so surprising, maybe, is that he wasn't really a great cook. Not in the usual sense, never formally trained as a chef, but somehow he taught millions of Americans how to cook and build, a $14 million empire? So the big question is, how did this self-proclaimed nerd with a camera turn science and, laughter into a culinary powerhouse?
Yeah, it's remarkable because, we're not talking about your standard Wall Street guy or a Silicon Valley coder here. This is someone who just didn't play by the usual rules, especially not the rules of television. Alton Brown didn't just follow them. He basically rewrote them, blending food, physics, comedy, chemistry. It was totally unique. So this deep dive, it's really about, let's call it reverse expertise, how thinking differently, maybe even starting as an outsider, can actually be a huge advantage for you.
That's a great way to put it, reverse expertise. Okay, so diving in, one of the first things that jumps out is his financial thinking. He didn't just see Good Eats as a job, right? It was more than a paycheck. How did he make that knowledge keep working for him, like compounding over time?
Right. From the very beginning, back in 1999, he saw Good Eats as, he called it an intellectual property platform.
Yeah.
Think of it like a launch pad, for books, tours, merchandise, licensing deals, all sorts of things. It's interesting because most celebrity chefs then were all about opening restaurants. But Alton, he focused on the rights, ownership.
Ownership. So he was really deliberate about that.
Incredibly deliberate. He wrote every single script. He directed the episodes, chose the props, the sound design. And it wasn't ego. He just fundamentally understood if you own the format, you own the future. And it paid off. Look at the empire. Over 10 best-selling books. It's just a little bit. Here for the Food sold, over 250,000 copies? Then the tours, the Inevitable Tour. Eat Your Science over 225 shows nationwide. Plus brand deals, GE, Dan & Welch's, Sun Knives. Big names. And he even brought Good Eats back, on YouTube and Cooking Channel around 2018, 2019. Still generating income.
So that estimated $14 million net worth by 2025 wasn't just luck or fame.
Not at all. It was structured content ownership, purposeful. So the big takeaway for you, don't just create. Create stuff that can grow, that compounds value over time.
Create content that compounds. I like that. Okay, so let's rewind a bit. The origin story. What was bugging him so much that he felt he had to create something new?
Well, back in the early 90s, he was actually working as a cinematographer on commercials. And he just got really, really frustrated watching food shows. He found them dull and uninspired. That's the quote. Apparently, after seeing one particularly lifeless segment, he just sort of made this promise to himself, a bold one, almost arrogant maybe. I'm going to make a food show that's actually worth watching.
Okay, but how? No cooking background, no connections.
Exactly. So his move was totally unconventional. He went to the New England Culinary Institute. But here's the kicker, not to become a chef. His goal was, and this is his quote, to understand the science behind food well enough to teach it visually.
So the science angle was there from day one.
Absolutely. Which led to Good Eats debuting in 99. And it was different. Quirky, tightly scripted, super precise, nothing like it on Food Network. And boom, it just took off, became a flagship show pretty quickly.
And he kept that control you mentioned earlier?
Fiercely. Writing, directing, even building his own small, tight production team. He wanted to avoid any dilution of voice. He owned that format, that style.
And it clearly worked. 14 seasons.
14 seasons, 252 episodes between 99 and 2012. Then the relaunches, later Reloaded, The Return. He managed to adapt, from cable to streaming to social media without losing that core Alton Brownness. He didn't build restaurants, he built a media brand. With himself as the architect and, the main asset, it really shows that in the long game, the most valuable thing you can have is that ownership.
That dedication to ownership and control is striking. But wow, maintaining that quality and output for so long, there must have been some serious habits, some real discipline behind the scenes. What was going on there?
Oh, absolutely. Meticulous doesn't even begin to cover it. People who worked with him describe him as obsessive. He is definitely not spontaneous. He doesn't wing it. Behind every joke or weird prop on Good Eats, there's probably a spreadsheet or 5. Seriously. He storyboards everything like a movie, diagrams the science, even calibrates the timing of the punchlines.
He calibrates punchlines.
Yeah, he had this philosophy. If the audience laughs, they learn. And if they laugh while learning, they never forget. It wasn't just a saying. It was like a production algorithm. He engineered the humor to make the science stick.
So the funny wasn't just funny, it was functional.
Exactly. And his work ethic matched that precision. Scripts longer than the show's runtime, packed with visual cues, reviewing every single take, personally editing his voiceovers. He treated teaching like a precision art.
And off-screen, was he just as intense?
Seems like it. He's big into fitness, strict cycling, weights, and obsessive about tracking his food. Apparently, he built his own calorie database way before apps like MyFitnessPal were a thing. He called it congruence, practicing the scientific approach to eating that he preached.
Wow. And you're saying no personal chefs, even now?
That's what the sources suggest. Still cooks at home. He wants to stay connected to that everyday experience he's teaching about. His success really seems operational, built on these small, rigorous habits, just done relentlessly year after year. For him, entertainment is serious business.
Yeah.
And knowledge. It deserves choreography.
Choreographed knowledge. I like that. So no personal chef, intense discipline. It really speaks to that congruence. Okay, so this brings us to his deeper philosophy. He got slapped with all these labels, right? Chef, comedian, scientist. How did he see himself? How did he define his own identity?
It's true, people call them a lot of things, but his own definition, it's actually quite simple and kind of radical. He says, I'm not a chef. I'm a teacher who uses food as a medium.
A teacher who uses food as a medium. That's clear.
It really is. And it cuts through all the noise about titles and credentials, doesn't it? He defines himself by his function. And that thinking shaped everything. It's why he refused to gold restaurants, even when the network probably pushed him. Why he'd turn down endorsement deals if they didn't fit his science-first approach. And maybe most tellingly, why he walked away from Iron Chef America when it was huge.
Why did he leave Iron Chef?
Because he felt it moved away from his core values. Transparency, education. He actually said something like, once you become a brand, people stop listening. I'd rather stay a teacher than a celebrity.
That takes some serious conviction.
It really does. That clarity helped him dodge, the ego traps that get so many people. He wasn't trying to be the next Gordon Ramsay or Julia Child. His goal was simpler. Make you, the viewer, feel smarter about food, not smaller. And that built incredible loyalty, not just fleeting virality, but real comprehension. Substance over flash.
Comprehension over clout.
Exactly. His whole philosophy seems to boil down to stay curious, stay accurate, stay human. In a world chasing fame, maybe his most rebellious act was just staying authentic.
So, okay, no restaurant empire, no shouting in kitchens, none of the usual symbols of culinary power. And yet his influence is undeniable. How did he gain that level of quiet authority, that sway over how people cook and think?
It's fascinating, isn't it? No flagship restaurants, no yelling. But his fingerprints are all over modern American cooking and food understanding. He built that influence purely by educating, not by dominating. The nickname, the Bill Nye of food? It stuck because it perfectly captured his style. Playful, science-based, making complex stuff feel easy.
Yeah, everyone knows that comparison.
And it goes beyond just a nickname. Look at serious food educators today, like J. Kinji Lopez-Alt, author of The Food Lab. He, and many others, point to Alton as a key inspiration for digging into the science of cooking. You see his influence everywhere now. YouTube cooks, TikTok chefs, even actual teachers in classrooms that use humor, storytelling, graphics. That's the Alton Brown effect. He took food education from often pretentious and rigid to something playful and relatable.
So he changed the way food was taught.
Fundamentally.
Yep.
And crucially, he never set himself up as some kind of guru. He didn't tell you what to think. He showed you how to think, particularly about food. His power wasn't based on status. It was based on clarity. It's like this invisible mentor effect, shaping how millions behave, just through the quiet force of understandable, repeatable insights. That kind of influence, it lasts. It's the kind that outlives your actual presence.
Which brings us nicely to resilience, because ending a show like Good Eats after 13 years, for most people, that's it. Game over. How did he handle that transition? What was his strategy?
All right, 2012, Good Eats ends. For many creators, that would be the final chapter.
Yeah.
But Alton called it an intermission. He didn't panic, he pivoted. Instead of chasing another network deal right away, he focused on platforms he could fully control. Launched a podcast, built up his YouTube channel, started experimenting with live stage shows, those mashups of cooking, science, and stand-up comedy.
The tours, right. Eat your science.
Exactly. And then, years later, he comes back strong. 2018, Good Eats, reloaded, reworking old episodes with updated science. Then 2019, Good Eats, the return, a full-on reboot for Cooking Channel and streaming. And it worked. It brought in old fans and new, younger viewers, too.
And then the pandemic hit. What happened then?
Ah, yes. While a lot of folks paused, he did something very Alton. quarantine kitchen.
Yeah.
Just him and his wife in their own kitchen doing these raw, unedited, often hilarious weekly live streams. No fancy set, no crew, just real life cooking and chaos. It was incredibly authentic, kind of vulnerable, and people loved it. It felt comforting.
It sounds like he's always playing the long game.
Totally. It's about building trust, not just churning out content for the algorithm. And look, today his influence reaches across, 4 generations of food learners. He's still relevant. Why? Because he never just played to the algorithm. He played to the audience. It's this knowledge-led legacy model, maybe. You build on truth, teach clearly, adapt with integrity.
Yeah.
Your work doesn't just last. It evolves. It can become timeless.
So when you boil it all down, the core lesson from Alton Brown isn't really about cooking technique, is it? He won by being the most curious communicator, the best translator, turning that complex science into stories we could all understand.
Exactly. It teaches you that expertise doesn't always come neatly packaged with credentials. Sometimes it comes from just that pure obsession to explain something clearly.
Yeah, and in a world that often rewards the loudest voice or the fanciest resume.
His story whispers something different, right? That clarity can actually be more powerful than confidence. That teaching with joy, with humor, it's a quiet kind of revolution. He never said he was great in the kitchen, but he made you feel like you could be great in yours, and that is real influence.
So Good Eats wasn't just a TV show, it was a philosophy.
Yeah, or maybe a permission slip for all the nerds, the misfits, the deep thinkers out there. Permission to believe that you don't have to fit the standard mold to actually make a huge impact.
Which makes you think, maybe you've been told you're not quite qualified for something, you don't have the right degree, the perfect title. But what if? What if that's not your weakness? What if that's actually your edge?
Right. Alton wasn't trained to lead a food revolution, but he saw something broken and felt compelled to fix it. And he did it his way, precise, different, authentic. So the question we want to leave you with is this. What's the one thing you see differently, the thing the world hasn't quite caught on to yet? And are you willing to build something around that insight, even if nobody else gets it yet?
Because maybe, just maybe, that thing you think disqualifies you is exactly what qualifies you.